My name is Bev Esslinger. I'm the Chair of Urban Planning. And on the committee is Vice Chair Mobanga, Counselor Katarina, and Counselor Henderson. But before we get going, we are going to do a roll call. So, Counselor Banga.
Present, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Counselor Katarina.
Good morning.
And Counselor Henderson.
Morning.
Well, that's the committee, and we are also joined by some of our colleagues. Counselor Walters is around here somewhere. And who else do we have on the line? Any other counselors? I have Counselor Knack.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm with you as well, Counselor Esslinger. It's Tim.
Thank you. Welcome, and I see Counselor Zadok has joined us as well. Welcome, that's all I've seen this morning. So the first thing we're going to do is do the adoption of the agenda. If I could have a motion.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor Banga. And so you have your, any questions? I didn't hear any. Let's vote on the adoption of the agenda.
Sorry, Madam Chair, there is one change to the agenda, replacement page on item 6.1.
Okay, so there's a replacement page under 6.1, so the agenda is moved with that. All right, and then for, please.
That was my intent.
That was your intent, right? All right, so please vote on the agenda.
I can see that all 4 members of the committee are in the correct meeting, and we now have all 4 votes.
Thank you. Display the vote. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. And now we'll go to the adoption of the minutes from the October 13th meeting. Counselor Banga?
Madam Chair, I move that October 13, 2020 Urban Planning Committee minutes be adopted.
Thank you very much. Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I will call the vote on the minutes. Display the vote. And that is carried. Now we go to protocol items. I don't have anything officially, but I think we've all heard the passing of Joey Moss in the city, which is quite a tragedy, and someone who was certainly a Edmontonian booster in many areas, so he's going to be sorely missed. Now we'll go to items for debate. We'll start with Counselor Banga.
I was trying to click on, but, oh, sorry.
Was that you, Counselor Banga?
It was Counselor Henderson.
Okay, go ahead, Counselor Henderson.
Sorry, I was trying to click on unsuccessfully. I will select 6.1 and 6.3.
So I have items 6.1 and 6.3 selected. I do not see anyone else at this time. So we'll deem those selected. If I could have a motion to approve what hasn't been selected, which is 6.2.
So moved.
Thank you. So voting on item 6.2, please vote.
We're just pulling up the vote, Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm. It's coming.
We have all 4 votes.
Thank you. Display the vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. So now, before we commence with item 2, I'll read our comments because the majority of folks are virtual today. So I'll just let you know that for each item, administration will first provide opening remarks or a presentation, and then members of the public will be invited to speak after in person or virtually this morning. Each will have 5 minutes to make their comments. The clerk is going to run the official timer. However, we do hope that attendees participating virtually may also want to use the timer at home. When the speaker is finished, please stay at the seat or online, as committee may wish to ask questions at the end of the panel of speakers. After comments from the public, committee may ask questions of a city administration. For those participating virtually, please refrain from using the chat function in Google Meet during the meeting, as it creates issues of decorum, provides an unfair advantage, and interferes with our live stream. Additionally, please remember to mute your microphone when you're not presenting or answering questions. If you are experiencing any difficulties, the Office of the City Clerk has resources available to facilitate communication with those participating virtually. Please reach out using the contact information that was provided in your registration or city.clerk@edmonton.ca. For those of you with us in person, please remember that the temporary mandatory face coverings bylaw 19408 is in effect, and we ask that you keep your mask on at all times, including when making your remarks to council. You'll notice that members of council administration may take off their mask while they are behind plexiglass barriers, but we'll put them back on when moving about the room or talking to each other during the meeting. We appreciate your understanding and participation in keeping everyone safe. So now I think everybody's online and ready to go, so I'm going to turn to the administration for the presentation on 6-1.
Apologies, Madam
Madam
Chair.
Chair, should we vote for the speakers first?
Oh, yes, we should.
And there is one request for a time specific as well.
All right, I'm glad everyone's here to help me because I'm totally missing it this morning. So now that we've selected item for debates, we do have to have a motion on a request to speak. So Counselor Henderson, could you do that?
Yeah, happy to. On 6.1, we would hear from Darby Kinney, Simon McIntosh, Sharon Bolton, Jan Hardstaff, Chelsea Jerzak, Mariah Samji, Michaela Davis, Jimmy Shuchuk, Charles Richmond, and Ashley Salvador in a panel. And then on 6.3, Rika Tulik and Adam Luciak,
Thank you. Please vote.
also in the panel.
Okay, please vote. Those are all on panels.
We have all 4 votes, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Display the vote. And that is carried. So request for time specific. The only time specific request we have is 6.1, that it's first item for business, but it is based on the agenda that we've approved, so therefore it is first item of business. Knowing that, I believe now we can go to the presentation on 6.1. Thank you all.
Good morning. Good morning, Urban Planning Committee. I'm Stephanie McCabe. I'm the Deputy City Manager at Urban Forum and Corporate Strategic Development. And this morning in person, I am joined by Kim Pretrin, the Branch Manager, Development Service, and Adam Samchuk, the Client Liaison Unit Team Lead. Online, we also have Jesse Inkpen from Legal Services, Trevor Illingsworth from our Zoning Bylaw Renewal Team, Gail Hickmore from Development and Zoning Services, and Lana Phillips, our initiative lead on our business improvement work. So yesterday I spoke at Executive Committee about the open for business work of the department. And at that meeting, I heard discussions about how the zoning bylaw has a significant impact on the experience of businesses and people that use our permit services. And we absolutely understand that in the department. And that's why we're here today. And I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk more about the zoning bylaw and the proposed amendments outlined in the zoning bylaw Omnibus 2020. Now, you're well aware in the past, omnibus bylaws typically contained relatively minor changes and corrections aimed at improving clarity and eliminating inconsistencies in the bylaw. This year, the omnibus is different, as it had to be. The current economic realities that the city is facing, together with businesses and communities, demands action from us. The bold moves proposed in the zoning bylaw Omnibus 2020 are part of our ongoing work to reimagine how we deliver our permit services. We want you to know that we are committed to seeking new ways to improve our service delivery, and one of the best ways we can do that is by making strategic and thoughtful amendments to our land use bylaw. I'll now pass it to Ms. Petrin.
Good morning. Edmonton's zoning bylaw informs what our city looks like as it develops and redevelops, along with the city plan and other statutory plans. It is one of the guiding documents that tells us what we can build, where we can build it, and what it should look like when it's built. In addition to determining built outcomes of development, it also sets out how administration is to conduct ourselves as regulators and providers of permitting services. The seriousness of the economic conditions that the city, Edmontonians, and our businesses are facing is unprecedented. Much of the situation is a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, there were already troubled signs emerging as a result of the declining demand for natural resources. In response, administration is proposing a collection of bold moves, which will allow us to more effectively shift our priorities from low-risk, low-impact developments to focus more attention and time on high-impact development. Many of the bold moves could be characterized as cutting red tape. There are others which are included with the intent of ensuring administration is well positioned to begin delivering on the intentions and directions articulated in City Plan right away. This is why we have proposed amendments which will allow for increased gentle densification or more flexibility for businesses and communities to do things like open an outdoor patio or organize a special event. We know that some of the recent feedback received from the public and leading up to this committee expressed concerns that we are moving too quickly. Administration acknowledges that we have brought forward these proposed amendments with a different approach to consultation and engagement. We didn't take this approach because we are trying to get one by Edmontonians or sneak something into the bylaw that some members of the public might otherwise be uncomfortable with. Rather, we believe that good engagement fundamentally means we're doing the right thing given the circumstances. Due to the pandemic, the playbook for engagement had to be rewritten as conditions changed, and our incredible staff came up with new solutions. Given the circumstances, administration determined that there was a necessity to engage differently for this omnibus. We did this by informing stakeholders about the proposed changes and focusing our attention on this meeting where members of the public and stakeholder groups regularly share their thoughts, concerns, questions with council and administration. The changes are based entirely from what we hear in our ongoing day-to-day engagement with Edmontonians who use our permitting services. Our staff provide customer service on a daily basis to hundreds of members of the public, including businesses, consultants, developers, homeowners, residents, community leagues, stakeholder groups, about the zoning bylaw and permits. In addition to these day-to-day contacts, we were also able to learn from the customer experience-focused research and engagement that had been done under the Permit and Licensing Initiative that we discussed at Executive Committee yesterday. The zoning bylaw omnibus will support immediate needs to reduce costs, improve service timelines, and reduce regulation and process barriers. Given the magnitude of the challenges facing Edmonton businesses and homeowners, advancing these regulatory changes will make it easier to do business in our city. Today's meeting will inform the specific next steps. However, administration is prepared to bring forward the proposed amendments described in this report to a City Council public hearing as soon as possible. Should Council wish to provide more specific direction, such as if only certain bold moves should be brought to a public hearing, it will be necessary for a motion to be made at Council reflecting that. Thank you, and we'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you, and we'll be happy to ask you some questions after we've heard from our speakers. We are hearing some feedback. Someone needs to mute their phone or line, so if you could do that, we'd appreciate that. So we're going to begin, and we're going to have every speaker, we have 10 speakers on this item, speak in a panel. When they're all finished speaking, then we will ask questions. So please sit back and relax while we hear our next speakers. We're going to begin with Darby Kinney.
Good morning.
Morning. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, members of City Council. My name is Darby Kinney, and I'm the Government Relations Manager of the Canadian Homeowners Association Edmonton Region. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be here today to speak on behalf of the association. CHBAER is a not-for-profit organization representing more than 460 member companies in the region. Our members built 75% of new units in Edmonton in 2019. The residential construction industry in Edmonton is a network of local businesses that represents more than 26,000 jobs, $1.9 billion in annual wages, and $3 billion in annual investment. Despite the unprecedented economic hardship due to the effects of COVID-19, our members are eager to continue to work with the City of Edmonton to fulfill the outcomes of the city plan. CHBAER has been actively involved in the zoning bylaw renewal project to date, and we are excited to see this transformative project roll out over the next 2 years. However, where there are opportunities to more quickly and effectively reach our city building goals, we need to take them. We greatly commend the work of administration to bring forward these amendments in order to create efficiencies and advance zoning bylaw renewal in 2022. The proposed amendments will not only remove regulatory barriers to low risk and low impact development, but will also make more efficient use of staff resources and enhance overall service delivery. This work also aligns with the City of Edmonton's strategic response to COVID-19 by supporting the requirement for regulatory flexibility, including those in development services. CHBAER strongly supports the work of the 2020 Zoning Bylaw Omnibus. We highly encourage Urban Planning Committee to recommend that all amendments outlined in this report be brought forth to City Council for further consideration. This includes all of the bold moves outlined in Attachment 1. Many of the bold moves will provide direct benefit to the residential construction industry and ultimately homeowners, as they provide greater flexibility to effectively respond to market conditions, provide innovative housing types, as well as enhance affordability for Edmontonians. While CHBAER supports all bold moves, there are a few which I would like to highlight for further consideration by City Council. These include extending the development permit expiration in order to respond to market conditions, expanding the number of instances in which development permits and variances are not required for low risk and low impact development, no longer requiring development permit inspections for row housing in greenfield areas, expanding development opportunities for accessory buildings in residential zones, allowing for functional increases in site coverage and relaxing design regulations, and finally, expanding upon the limitation of variances beyond instances of practical difficulties or hardship. For this amendment specifically, the report provides a choice to either preserve the status quo or make this move now. CHBR fully supports making this move now in order to more actively advance our city plan objectives. Finally, we support the bold move which allows for garden suites and secondary suites where there is either semi-detached housing or multi-unit housing in the form of row housing. However, in advance of this bold move being brought forth to Council for further consideration, we wish to recommend a slight revision. Currently, Section 86 of the zoning bylaw, which would enable this bold move, limits opportunities for garden suites and secondary suites to be developed in conjunction with single detached and semi-detached housing to RF1, 2, and 3 zones only. We would like Section 86 to be revised such that this opportunity is expanded to RPL, RSL, RMD, and RF4 zones to allow for both garden suites and secondary suites to be developed in conjunction with single detached housing, semi-detached housing, multi-unit housing, and form of row housing. It is worth noting that garden suites and secondary suites are already permitted uses in these zones. By limiting the amendment to select zones, only a number of lots within Edmonton will be able to fully realize the intent of this amendment. RPL, RSL, RMD, and RF4 zoning, when taken together, account for approximately 33% of lots in Edmonton and are more frequently used in a suburban context. Revising Section 86 to include these zones will ensure that the principal goal of increasing density is achieved more holistically and more equitably throughout the city. With this being said, we understand that transformational work takes time, and we wish to see this amendment, even as presented today, realized. If administration recommends that further consultation is required to expand this development opportunity to additional zones, we are willing to revisit this request through the zoning bylaw renewal. In closing, we understand that the success of the proposed amendments requires trust and shared accountability. We have trust that the proposed amendments have been carefully considered to balance risk and impact to all stakeholders. CHPA members are ready to take accountability and work in partnership with the City of Edmonton to achieve our city building goals. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Darby. And we're going to go to Simon McIntosh now. there's still somebody that's got an open line, please check that you're muted, because we're hearing a lot of background noise.
Madam Chair, I believe it's someone who's participating by phone, not in the Google Meet.
Okay, so we think it's someone that's on the phone. Can they mute their phone?
Yes, please.
Please mute your phones if you are calling in.
And Madam Chair, we've also had another member of the public join the meet, but we don't have them listed on our speakers list, so I'm just hoping to verify if they wish to speak or not.
Sorry, if Simon, you'll just hold for a moment. We're just going to do some housekeeping. Go ahead, please, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. It's a Heather McSporran-Heil. Do you wish to speak to committee today?
I have her here with me at the Edmonton Ski Club. She was going to speak alongside Rika Tulik during that 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So typically, each person registered will get 5 minutes. We don't share time, so we'll have to add you at that appropriate time.
I'll move to add her to the list for 6.3.
Okay, so we've added our
Heather
speaker.
McSporran-Heil.
Okay. If we could just vote on that, we'll have that in order. Please vote on adding additional speaker for 6.3. Do I have any objection? If not, we'll just unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So seeing no objection, we've added her unanimously. Thank you. Now, we'll go back to Simon, and we'll give you your 5 minutes afresh. All right, Simon, please go ahead.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is Simon McIntosh. I'm one of 3 people here today from the Park Allen Community League. I want to address the administration's report to the Zoning Bylaw Omnibus 2020 at a high level. I won't be quoting bylaw paragraph numbers or variance criteria. You'll hear some of that from our other Community League members later. What I have to say is about all of them collectively and administration's big, bold moves in particular. I have 2 concerns. The first is the use of the expression red tape, which we've already heard once this morning. As if by labeling something as red tape, you automatically justify its removal. The term even made it onto the CBC radio news yesterday during a report on these proposed changes. I know that some red tape consists of too much bureaucratic process that bogs things down, but other red tape offers protections for city residents through checks and balances, as well as a second set of eyes to make sure everything has been done properly. The administration hints at this use of the term when they talk about an opportunity for fewer processes and regulatory barriers. But these processes and barriers were put in place for a reason. Government at any level is a complex business, and any issue it deals with impacts multiple stakeholders. The interests of stakeholders differ, and some stakeholders will get what they want and some may not. And as a result, want protection of their interests by regulation, which in turn others will see as red tape. So what may be seen by administration or others as red tape may be vitally important to the residents of Edmonton. I ask you to consider the proposition that one person's red tape is another person's protection when considering the big bold moves proposed by administration. My second concern is the reference to changes being made in the context of COVID-19. What does this mean? We are left to deduce for ourselves, I think, that the steps taken will help the employment situation in Edmonton caused by COVID-19 and the accompanying economic uncertainty. Yet the report contains no justification for linking changes in the zoning bylaw to COVID-19. COVID-19 should not be used as a generic excuse for anything. How will the big bold moves make an improvement in the unprecedented economic conditions mentioned in this report? Without an answer to this question, it seems to me that there is no justification for the big bold moves. Those are my 2 main concerns with the report, and I hope that further public consultation will be allowed so that the administration can address them. And I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. McIntosh. All questions will be after all the speakers, so please hold tight. And now we're going to go to Sharon Bolton. You have your floor.
Sharon, you're just muted. If you could unmute using the microphone icon along the bottom of your screen.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were going to unmute me. Okay, let's start. Good morning. My name is Sharon Bolton, and I am also a member of the Park Ellen Community League. As a continuation of what Simon was discussing, the idea of red tape versus citizen protection, I would like to speak to the proposed change to Regulation 11.4, limitation of variance, which would remove the need to prove hardship or practical difficulties. This proposed change would do away with the developer having to justify the need for a variance and could result in the granting of a variance for little or no justification. While I fully support revitalization of older neighborhoods, I know that redevelopment in these neighborhoods can be polarizing. Using the premise that development should be a win-win situation for all affected parties, I have a few comments. I strongly feel that development bylaws should serve the purpose of checks and balances, offering assurances to homeowners that proposed new developments will not result in adverse outcomes. Using this reasoning, I feel that variances should be granted only in the most exceptional circumstances and should always be brought before the Development Appeal Board so that the variance requested can be justified to the satisfaction of all parties. The paper issued on variance and notifications discusses this proposed change a little further and justifies it using the argument that, well, since the Development Appeal Board approves most requests for variances, there is a question as to whether this is worth the added time and cost to the city and to the applicant. Again, it's a question of red tape versus checks and balances. The Development Appeal Board provides reasoning behind allowing a variance, which allows affected parties to better understand the necessity behind the request, hopefully leading to wider acceptance. I do agree with the discussion paper that there should be more specific guidance on defining hardship. I also agree with the premise that hardship should only be related to the physical attributes of the property in question, not to the developer's financial situation, nor caused by any actions of the developer. Better guidance on what constitutes hardship could lead to a better understanding of the necessity of the variance on the part of all affected parties, and that includes the Development Appeal Board. I'd like to provide an example of a personal story of an adverse outcome due to granting of a variance. A semi-detached infill was proposed for next door to my home, replacing the single-family bungalow that existed. Problem was, the lot in question was too narrow for a semi-detached, according to the bylaws. A variance in building width was requested, and I attended a meeting of the Development Appeal Board. The hardship reasoning provided was very thin, specifically that the owner could not make a sufficient resale profit by building only a single detached home. The owner even went so far as to say that I personally had caused this hardship by my refusal to sell him my home to make way for an even bigger development. Regardless, the variance was allowed. The result was that the new building is too close to the property line to allow for proper drainage swale, leading to drainage onto my property and into my basement. Now, most citizens are not knowledgeable about development bylaws, and I have to say I certainly had no idea what drainage swale was or how lack of it could affect my property. Therefore, I believe the onus is on the city through strong development bylaws to have those checks and balances to protect all parties. I'm here to ask that the variance bylaw not be weakened, but that it be strengthened to promote the win-win situation. Thank you for your time, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you very much, Sharon. And we will come back to questions. And now we'll go to Jan Hardstaff.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to respond to the Zoning Bylaw Omnibus 2020 report. This report underscores that enacting the bold moves and proposed text amendments comes with trade-offs in terms of built outcomes, reputation, community engagement, and potential residents. The report admits the amendments are being brought to council with a significantly different level and extent of engagement than is typical. with potential impacts to the work of zoning bylaw renewal going forward. In 2014, the city launched Council's initiative on public engagement. It was subsequently awarded the 2018 International Organization of the Year for its work on advancing public participation. This initiative produced Strengthening Public Engagement at Edmonton, a document that describes why supporting excellence in public engagement and linking this engagement with decision-making is so important. It states, engagement by ordinary citizens supplies the democracy in a political system. Without them, city government is dominated by officials, experts, and lobbyists. This Omnibus report states, separate engagement for zoning bylaw Omnibus 2020 informed stakeholders' proposed amendments. But then later it admits the big and bold moves in this report have not been discussed with our community partners in this context. Administration did not consult with or inform citizens and civil society stakeholders of potential impacts. Some things being suggested include reduced notification, the removal of the requirement to demonstrate hardship or practical difficulty to be considered for a variance, increased development intensity on a site, allowing developers to postpone development for 2 years, and accomplishing these and other amendments outside the zoning bylaw renewal public engagement process. These amendments have the potential to adversely impact property owners who are or will live adjacent to infill redevelopment or the communities in which this infill will be built. And yet, they have not been invited to provide feedback. The only feedback received and presented in this report are those of administration, city teams and managers, and business and development industry stakeholders. The Professional Code of Practice for Registered Planners states, efforts must address the public interest and be provided with integrity, objectivity, and independence, and in a manner that respects the diversity, needs, values, and aspirations of the public and encourages discussion on these matters. This public engagement fails to align with the expectations of citizens or what the city has been recognized for, nor does it appear to align with this code of practice. Community leagues must be informed to effectively engage and provide meaningful feedback to discussions of public policy direction. They often rely on the EFCL to review, summarize, and share reports and amendments with their Planning and Development Committee. This was not possible as EFCL received this report the same day community leagues did, with no time to review this with their Planning and Development Committee. This prevented the EFCL from fulfilling one of their mandates, which is to inform leagues of citywide issues and advocate on behalf of leagues by presenting their feedback to administration and council. EFCL was also presented a scheduling conflict today, as they are delivering, on behalf of the city, a 1-hour city-prepared workshop for community leagues on the final zoning bylaw initiative discussion papers. 2 of these discussion papers are on the topics of residential zones and notifications and variances, so they would have been quite relevant to this report. However, these documents were supposed to be circulated October 5th, and then were delayed without explanation until October 19th. The residential zones discussion paper was then further delayed until October 20th. These documents would have informed public feedback to this report and amendments. Not releasing them, these documents on October 5th and providing the Omnibus report with little time to review has made this challenging. It has also put community stakeholders in the position of having to oppose this rather than contribute in a more positive way through proper public engagement. The zoning bylaw omnibus report and amendments attempt to achieve some of what developers in the city want, but they do so by bypassing the zoning bylaw renewal engagement process. They acknowledge this will result in potential impacts to residents, which it appears this report considers acceptable risk, without properly informing these citizens of these impacts or providing them a reasonable opportunity to respond to them. I implore Council not to advance the text amendments contained in Attachment 2 and 3 to public hearing. Instead, Council should direct administration to incorporate further study of the proposed amendments within the comprehensive and ongoing public engagement process of the zoning bylaw renewal initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hardstaff. We will now go to Chelsea Jerzak.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good morning, members of council and committee. My name is Chelsea Jerzak. I'm a planning consultant with Situate and the vice president of IDEA, the Infill Development in Edmonton Association. So this morning, I'd like to say a few words about the zoning bylaw omnibus, as well as make a request for a small change that would make a big difference. So before I make that request, the first thing I'd like to say is a big thank you to administration for bringing this work forward. As a city and as an industry, we're facing some challenging times right now, and this initiative, as well as many other efforts towards service improvement, is really very appreciated. So with that being said, there is something that would make this very good set of proposed amendments even better, and that is to allow secondary suites, most commonly known as basement suites, to be built in stacked row housing. So right now, under the zoning bylaw, secondary suites are allowed in row housing, and what we're asking for is for that opportunity to also include stacked row housing as well. So there's no planning or land use impact to this change, as both row housing and stacked row housing are considered multi-unit housing under the zoning bylaw currently, and both are regulated in the same way with regard to height, setbacks, and density. The benefit of stacked row housing is that it provides an additional housing form that can benefit residents in various ways, such as fully contained main floor units. And my IDEA colleague Mariah Samji will be talking more about that in her presentation this morning. On the slide in front of you, you have a rezoning map. I just wanted to point out an example. At a recent October 6th City Council public hearing, there was a rezoning application approved in Avonmore from RF1 to RF3 to allow for small scale multi-unit housing. So the site here allows for 4 principal dwelling units together with 4 secondary suites. If you could advance the slide, please. The landowner's concept for this site is stacked row housing with secondary suites, which would look like 2 units on the main floor, 2 units on the second floor, and 2 units in the basement. So on the slide here, you can see the inspiration for the concept on the left and the preliminary development permit drawing on the right. You can advance the slide. So on this slide, I'm showing the preliminary floor plan for the 2 main floor units, each of which are about 1,100 square feet and contain 2 bedrooms. The 2 units above it on the second floor and the 2 secondary suites in the basement would be very similar, except that secondary suites aren't allowed in this housing form. And so that's what we'd like to ask for your support to change. You can advance the slide, please. So our request is that committee approve a motion to have secondary suites included as an opportunity in small scale multi-unit housing, including row housing and stacked row housing. So with that said, we understand that stacked row housing is no longer a definition that exists in the zoning bylaw. So we'd be happy to work between committee and public hearing with administration on precise wording that would have the desired effect. So in addition, we are committed to educating our members at IDEA about any building code implications that secondary suites in this form of housing would have. So with that, I'll wrap up and just say we fully support the proposed omnibus changes, and we're excited to see them move forward to City Council public hearing. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jerzak. We will now go to Ms. Samji. The floor is yours.
Good morning, and thank you so much for hearing from IDEA today. I'd like to start by thanking administration on their hard work over the past 8 months to adjust, to be agile, and to work to move towards a more economically viable Edmonton. There has been a lot of pressure on industry and on businesses and on people in general in Edmonton due to the pressures of COVID-19 as well as oil prices dropping. And these changes are very necessary to help us move towards a stronger Edmonton with diverse housing options. I'm not sure if you can see my presentation.
Just hang on for a sec. We're trying to get your presentation up.
Sounds good. I usually don't take the full 5 minutes, so it's fine.
We can add a little bit if necessary. I think we're ready to go. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Thanks
so much.
All right.
I'd like to start also by talking a little bit about IDEA. IDEA is an organization that formed 8 years ago with the understanding that the development patterns within Edmonton were changing. We were going to continue growing out, but we're also going to provide options of growing in and growing up. Our membership right now includes community members, professional members, and builders and developers. And 1/3 of our membership is community members who'd like to see the infill organization, infill developments, and our neighborhoods flourish in a different way than they currently are. Next slide, please. The first thing I'd like to talk to committee about today is the conversation around variances. The language in the proposed amendments is talking about softening the language for variances. So instead of having to prove a hardship, it's having a conversation with administration and the development officers around the context in which variances are allowed to have. Right now, the City of Edmonton has many goals, infill goals that we're hopefully going to be changing in December, as well as green building initiatives. An example right now of this is if you were trying to build a house that's more energy efficient and aligned with our green building initiatives, we would need to have thicker walls, and we would be penalizing people on having less square foot inside of a home if they were to build thicker walls. However, if we were allowed to have the conversation with the development officers around variances, we can encroach a little on the side setbacks to allow for this. This is something that wouldn't be able to happen as of right now, and this is why we see the need for this change to happen. There are small conversations, but there's nuances within Edmonton as our City of Edmonton is growing that need to happen. We all have agreed that our zoning bylaw currently today does not work, and we need to be able to make those changes as we go forward. Next slide, please. As the previous speaker, Chelsea Jerzak, alluded to, I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about stacked row housing and the reasons that we wanted to bring this conversation forward. So the first reason that I'd like to talk about is privacy consideration. So on the first little picture, you can see a traditional row house that Edmonton is a little bit more used to. It's 4 units, side by side, sharing walls, sharing space, and getting close to each other, which is fantastic in a lot of ways. However, in the picture below, you see 4 units, sharing walls, sharing space, but those units are able to be oriented towards the street where the rest of the doors are on the street, where the rest of the doors would be your neighbors. You'd share the front door access, and your rear access, so your backyard, would also be oriented the same space. We've heard at council before, and through a lot of conversations with neighborhoods as well, that sometimes having the row house facing the opposite direction and having the backyard abut the neighboring property is not the ideal situation. However, if we allow for stacked row housing, as we would like to see in these changes, it would allow for different situations and for considerations for the community as well as the neighbors in the area. Next slide, please. Another key reason that we'd like to talk about stacked row housing is the ability to age in place. So right here, there's the 4 units again, and the dwelling units underneath. And a lot of, as you grow older, sometimes stairs are not the things that you want in your house. To be honest, sometimes they're not the things that I want in my house. But when you have traditional row housing that we're used to in Edmonton, there are a lot of stairs, as you see in the first picture. And that's not accessible for everyone within Edmonton. However, in this depiction that we have with the 4 units, unit number 2 and unit number 4 wouldn't need stairs, which is fantastic for people who would like to age in place. And if we're able to build these types of dwellings within our neighborhood, then there's options for people who want to stay in their neighborhood where they have their local connections, maybe they have their doctors, their pharmacies, and they're wonderful neighbors that they've grown up with. Next slide, please. The next configuration that I'd like to talk to you about is sandwich housing, which we've started to talk a little bit about within neighborhoods and within administration, but we still haven't had that full conversation. So there are a lot of people that I personally know and other people know as well, where adult kids, we have different pressures than generations of our past, and we're not able to move out of our parents' house as soon as we would like to, as soon as they would like us to as well. As well, we have aging grandparents that we'd like to share time with, we'd like to take care of, and we really like their desserts, so we'd like to have them closer by. In this example, we would have the grandparents on the main floor, the parents above, and the adults in the bottom. We'd all be able to live in the same dwelling or in the same area, but have a little bit of privacy, which allows us to, I'm sure as the holidays are approaching, you know what that's like. So a door that locks in between is nice sometimes. And right now we don't have that within Edmonton.
Thank you. Your time is up, I'm afraid.
No problem.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be questions later. And now we'll go to Michaela Davis.
Hi there, thank you. Good morning, Urban Planning Committee. My name is Michaela Davis, and I'm here on behalf of UDI Edmonton Region as the chair of their planning committee. I also work for Melcor Developments in Edmonton as a regional manager. Thank you for having me. It's been really great to see all the presentations today too. I'd like to thank the city for providing the opportunity to participate as an industry in the 2020 zoning bylaw omnibus. UDI members have Sorry.
Please hang on for a moment. It's a new type of music. Let's try again.
That was exciting. Okay, should I keep going?
Keep going.
Okay, good. It's very short, so don't worry. UDI members have reviewed the report and we have provided feedback accordingly to administration. We are supportive of the proposed amendments, and as such, we strongly encourage Urban Planning Committee to take forward all the amendments to City Council for consideration. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge, believe that many of the bold moves as envisioned here will help encourage innovative housing forms, will assist in housing affordability, and will deliver flexibility in today's uncertain market. So thank you for that. UDI is committed to working with the city through the ongoing zoning bylaw renewal project, and we are appreciative of the work done to date on this omnibus amendment. So that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Davis. And now we're going to Mr. Shuchek here in person. Sir, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, City Councilors, and members of our community. My name is Jimmy Shuchek, and I'm a local hospitality business owner. Just yesterday, I spoke to some of you on the importance of the patio extensions in preserving the business health of some of our great Edmonton hospitality destinations, mine included. Allowing safe, well-distanced dining in an outdoor environment kept many of our local businesses running and our main streets vibrant this summer. Today, I'm here to speak to the recommendation of making some of the temporary patio guidelines permanent. At our location on 104th Street, St. Uncle, we took advantage of the temporary program. We expanded our patio, collaborated with our neighboring businesses, and incorporated live music. We could collectively pay an artist fairly and all benefit from having a full, albeit distance, patio. A few days later, I was made aware of 2 noise complaints. One was officially filed. I couldn't follow up with that individual, and that was the end of the conversation. The other came from a gentleman who stopped me on the street. We met. We chatted and heard each other. We found resolve and mitigated the impact on residences and continued the prosperity of our business. We subsequently had 7 outdoor patio performances with no further complaints. Now, this gentleman that I spoke with, we continue dialogue as needed, and we see each other on the street. We do that weird forgotten thing where we say hi and wave to each other. We're neighbors concerned about our community. Now, I don't believe the temporary guidelines are perfect, nor they never will be. We do need to look at some more mechanisms for more sturdy protective coverings for outdoor patios, scaffolding type structures, outdoor vestibules that have been incorporated into other city programs. I believe that residents would say we need better temporary walkways, and I would certainly agree with that. Speaking to the aptly named table of bold moves, and in particular the recommendations on incorporating elements of the temporary patio spaces into the zoning bylaw, this gives me hope and it gives me confidence. Of course, I see this assistance that this will provide to my small business in the short term. And this recommendation, by and large, we're talking about small locally owned businesses that will be impacted. I see how it will allow my business to thrive in years that are too far ahead for me to count on right now. More so, I see the benefit of what this does for the vibrancy of our main streets. Streets that are currently at risk, in jeopardy, and to put it bluntly, failing. I think White Avenue, 124th Street, Jasper, 104th Street. The survival of these streets not only have an impact on the individual hospitality businesses, but land and property values of both commercial and residential builds. We're in a real estate world where hospitality is propping up the retail sector as the popularity of online shopping increases. The office market is in for a reckoning. The often overlooked hospitality sector is going to become a hinge pin in holding our main streets together, and it will need shifts in thinking like this, and it will need your leadership in order to thrive. I'd like to close by thanking Adam and Kim and their colleagues for the work they've done in response to the pandemic and the work they're doing to continue the prosperity of our city. If you ever show up to work some days and think some of your work lacks meaning, your work is keeping businesses open and keeping people employed. So thank you kindly for that. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shuchuk. Now we're going to turn our attention back to the mobile, and Mr. Richmond, please go ahead.
Do you read me?
Yes,
can you hear?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. First, we'd like to express our appreciation to administration for including Sierra Club Canada in its protracted zoning bylaw renewal stakeholder group, and in particular Olivia Ballone, who's has been stewarding the process of the interaction during these difficult times. I had tossed out a more, I guess, I'm only going to present a few sentences because Ms. Hardstaff, I believe her name was, presentation really did a far better job than our presentation. And all one needs to do is to substitute the word natural environment for neighborhood as a context. And she said it all. But I will just present a few sentences. Okay, so you may be puzzled, and this is a rewrite, having tossed out my more arcane stuff as a result of panicked consultations with our administrative law lawyer. That always complicates things. So you may be puzzled as to why Sierra Club Canada wishes to speak to a topic like bylaw relaxation. Bylaw and the variances pursuant are critical tools for the public, particularly environmental NGOs, in their scrutiny of city government and the many actors impacting our environment. It's a tool we hold not only the developer to, but the administration to the proverbial rule of law. It is law. While recognizing the limitations of zoning bylaw as partially outlined in the report and the practical necessity of granting administrative latitudes in application, we're concerned about, in particular, variances being arguably misused to rationalize practice. And that's in the administrative sense. It's a highly complex issue which deserves explicit debate, and we believe the proposal to relax limitation on variances is, as proposed as an immediate measure, ill-advised, and strongly recommend delaying a premature entrenchment, even as an experiment. And that's an interesting proposal, by the way. And strongly recommend that this be delayed until there's a consideration of the zoning law recodification writ large when it comes before council. I think that I'm willing to answer any specific questions on past experiences, but I think that we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richmond. And last but not least on this panel, we'll go to Ashley Salvador. The floor is yours.
All right, hello everyone. All right, so thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I am speaking on behalf of Yegg Garden Suites in full support of the proposed amendments. First, I do want to thank administration for their work on this. We're really pleased to see a number of positive changes that will enable the development of more, more diverse and innovative housing options. At the same time, today's Omnibus will create efficiencies in service delivery for the City of Edmonton, saving both time and resources. These changes will also help bridge the gap between now and the 2022 zoning bylaw renewal. We've been actively involved in the zoning bylaw renewal project and are excited to see this work continue. While we do ask that all of the amendments outlined in today's report be brought forward to City Council for consideration, I wanted to highlight a few amendments that we are particularly supportive of related to garden suites. So first, allowing garden suites in conjunction with semi-detached housing or row housing. We're also very excited about allowing major home-based businesses on sites with secondary suites and garden suites, as we get that request quite often. And finally, allowing garden suites and secondary suites in conjunction with semi-detached housing in RF1, RF2, and RF3 zones. Now, in relation to this last point, Yegg Garden Suites would like to ask for one minor revision. We'd like to see garden suites and secondary suites in conjunction with both single detached and semi-detached housing, not only in RF1, 2, and 3, but also in RF4, RPL, RSL, RMD, and GLG zones. We would have liked to have seen consideration given to a number of other things, such as garden suites via condo, as well as in conjunction with group homes, but we do understand that the scope of this omnibus is limited, so we're just sticking to this one ask. And we have received many inquiries from folks in new communities who'd like to have both a garden suite and a secondary suite, but are unable to, as they are currently not allowed to. That's only allowed in RF1, RF2, and RF3 zones as it stands today. And those are typically in Edmonton's mature neighborhoods. So while new communities tend to be zoned RPL, RSL, RMD, and GLG, these low-scale, low-impact residential zones will eventually be condensed into a small-scale residential zone that allows for this kind of development following the zoning bylaw renewal. So it makes sense to help these new communities bridge this gap now and include them with today's changes. Taken together, these newer zones represent around 33% of Edmonton's titled lots, and we have an opportunity to unlock their potential now rather than waiting for the zoning bylaw renewal to come around. And including these zones today will ensure a more equitable and consistent regulatory landscape for those folks. All right, so that's really all I have. Thank you so much for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, and thank you to all our speakers for coming and sharing your thoughts with us today. Now we're going to go to questions, first of the committee and then of councillors present. Please use eScribe to let us know you'd like to ask questions. First of all, we'll go to Counselor Henderson. You have 5 minutes.
Great, thanks. I wanted to, my first set of questions are, I guess, for both Ms. Bolton and Mr. Richmond. I'll start with Ms. Bolton because I think you'll have to answer separately. Understanding your hesitation and reservation, part of the problem, as I understand it, and it took me a while to figure this out, is the SDAB uses a different set of tests for variances than historically we have instructed our city DOs to use. And in actual fact, and I'll ask this question of administration, the test that the SDAB uses is much closer to what I think what is now being proposed from us than our historic. So, and this has created a huge problem in that our DO says no because it uses a set of tests that we've been able to give them, but again gets overruled by SDAB where we can't prescribe. That's prescribed by the province. So the one thing that attracts me a little bit to what's being proposed here is it would align those two tests. So when you go to SDAB, you're making the same arguments you'd be making to your development officer. And I'm just wondering your thinking on that, because I think aligning them actually may create more trust in the system than what we currently have, where SDAB just overturns our officers' ruling anyway, which I think, Ms. Bolton, was your experience. Thoughts?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Okay. As I had mentioned, I really do believe that they should be aligned. However, what this proposed change is doing is trying to align them with the weaker of the two.
I agree with you, but we can't change the other one. We don't have. I wish we could change the other one. I've worked at trying to get that happening, and the province has said no.
Then possibly the solution may be to again improve the guidelines so that people understand what they're up against. And right now, as you have mentioned, the guidelines are different for the development officer than they are for the development appeal board, which, you know, if we can't make them strengthen them so that they both align, then at least let people know what they're up against before they go to development appeal.
Great,
thanks. In my situation, it was such a thin excuse. It should never have been allowed.
Yeah, I hear you. I share your frustration. But I will ask these questions. I just want of the administration. I just wanted to give you the chance to respond. Mr. Richmond, any thoughts on that?
Partly on that. And this is one of the reasons we really needed time. The timing is inexcusable. This is an extremely important issue. And in fact, I can, as you know, Counselor Henderson, we often consult with UDI. We've met once with one representative and one who was trying to arrange a larger Zoom meeting amongst all of us on that. So we might have settled some of these things in a coordinate fashion. But I wanted to emphasize once more, which I think also pertains to your issue, is that if in reading the administration's report, they talk about relaxing the hardships because of context. That figures heavily in issues of neighborhood renewal. It's the context. Okay. Mm-hmm. What we're saying is that the zoning renewal initiative so far, in terms of their scoping papers, is almost blind to the environment. We do have bylaws covering the environment. So if you want to talk about context, rather than talking about like what else is on the block, what's the look and feel of the neighborhood, the issue is, if you're talking about, let's talk about the context of the environment, the adjacent, when I say environment, I mean natural environment that we're interested in conserving. And so that's an issue that's extremely strong. It's almost inverse. It's like looking at green versus red if you've only got two colors. And so we're simply, I mean, that's one issue that we want to writ large over a change in almost all of the zoning recodification is a recognition of environmental issues. So the question is, who speaks for the environment? Well, essentially any citizen at all. And so really any citizen should be able to speak, to advocate for the impact of a particular development on the natural environment adjacent, when it is adjacent in those situations. And you say, well, how much of that is really adjacent to the river valley? Let me suggest that in terms of the ravine system, just looking at the ARP, and in fact, something like by length, something like 82% is outside the river valley. Okay, just for context, now the river valley is very wide as opposed to ravines. Nonetheless, we're talking about the adjacency issue. Okay, so that will, if you multiply our river valley length by 10 or 8, probably 10 when you consider all the natural areas, that's a pretty big impact. And so context in this case is one of our huge problems. So I'm not sure if that relates to it. In other words, there are very big problems that aren't addressed.
Yeah, understood. I'm seriously out of time. I may have to come back around for another to follow up on that. Great, thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple questions, and then I'll go to Counselor Walters. Ms. Samji, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Your concern was that if we just identify variances as hardships, they compete with our own city policies, like when we suggest green building, that would need a variance because it's not a hardship, but it's one of the things we're trying to do. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and I know you had a couple more slides. Did you have anything else you wanted to tell us before I move on?
Yeah, the last point we wanted to talk about in stacked row housing was some of the cultural differences between some Edmontonians that are new immigrants or who come from different backgrounds. They are used to, in other areas of the world, living together. It's a very common place for them. In fact, a lot of the people within my community do that. However, as Edmonton grows, we still don't have housing options that align in that way for them. I've had multiple family members that are trying to take care of their parents that would like to have secondary suites when they were not allowed, and we've made that change, which is fantastic. However, now their children are growing, and we need to make that change to align at this time now. With the stacked row housing configuration, it allows for some nuances that I know that the community has concerns around, that we're able to make those adjustments. And so we're concerned that if we're only allowed to do row housing with secondary suites, it doesn't always align with the context of the neighborhood and the context of the lot. And so we need to be able to have some options for the people in that neighborhood.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I have more questions of administration, so I'm going to go now to Counselor Walters and then back to Counselor Henderson. Counselor Walters.
Thank you. Mr. McIntosh, I'll start with you if you're still there. I see you. So you talked about the one person's red tape is another person's protection. Can you maybe spend a couple minutes articulating what you think the most important protections are? I know you have quite a bit of familiarity with this topic through your work on the Civics Committee. So having heard from your neighbors who've been very engaged in this, maybe articulate some of those key protections in these sorts of rezoning and redevelopment circumstances.
Well, I think that Sharon Bolton gave a good example of where she was failed. I believe she's still dealing with the issue of water in her basement.
Right.
We had an example recently, Councillor Walters, that you personally saw where there was an excavation done that was not safe. And health and safety, the Alberta government's health and safety actually closed the site down twice, I believe.
Right. So certainly,
we have
so drainage, issues that are, cross-lot drainage, issues of construction integrity and shoring that, could have negative effects, damaging effects on neighboring properties are certainly things. Maybe, and Sharon, thanks for telling your story. Ben asked the question I was gonna ask you, and we'll get into that with administration. But thanks for taking the time to be here. Maybe I'll ask Ms. Hardstaff the same question I asked Mr. McIntosh in pursuit of the line of thinking that some red tape is okay because it's protecting people's properties. Maybe you could, try to be as precise as possible and noting those things that are most important to maintain.
Well, I actually have a whole page of things that.
Well, you have 3 minutes. You can use the remainder
I know,
of my
okay,
time.
So there's a number of things. One of the things that I'm concerned about is that there appears to be reduction of oversight by the city. And it's the city's responsibility to not only create zoning bylaws, but to ensure that certain bylaws and legislation, provincial legislation, the building code, the drainage bylaw, all of these things are applied and enforced. And what I'm seeing, and what my experience has been in being involved in my community's planning and development civics committee, is that that is not being done. So we want to welcome infill. We do. I'm not against infill. I think infill really, there's lots of positive benefits. It brings density, it brings renewal, there's all of these positive things. But what the city must do is they must determine and they must show the public that they are going to mitigate risk to the neighbors. And so what I see is there's increased site development intensity. Mr. Richmond referred to some of the things that the impacts to the environment. You expand and you increase site coverage, you are going to increase stormwater release. The city knows that that's going to impact on the drainage infrastructure in the community. And so that's going to eventually need to require upgrades to drainage infrastructure. And that's going to incur costs to the public and maybe increase taxes for the residents that live in communities. So all of these things, well, just give me one, just let me finish. They have impacts. And what needs to be done, I believe, is that in a zoning omnibus like this, there needs to be more robust public consultation to not just look at the benefits to builders in the city, to achieve the city plan and to achieve development and economic outcomes. They need to consider the broad picture of all of the other impacts to citizens, civil society, the environment, so that we do things right and we don't make a mistake. I think this is being rushed, and I think there needs to be further consideration.
Okay, thank you. I'll, in the second round, I'll just ask the Ms. Kinney and Ms. Samji to respond to that in some ways, but I'll come back on a second round.
Okay, thank you. On the first round, I have Counselor Knack.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe to Ms. Hardstaff, because I know you've been out of these meetings over the years. And the question I'm wondering is, these checks, these processes that are in place to help address some of those concerns you shared. You know, in my time on council, we've talked about them at a number of these meetings. And I'm wondering, just very high level, is the zoning bylaw, are we trying to use the wrong tool to fix those things? Because, you know, they have come up over the years, and so I'm wondering, should we be more focusing on some of those additional enforcement aspects to make sure we actually address the concerns that you've been raising for quite a few years?
Yes, well, the last time that I spoke at the Urban Planning Committee meeting was in April 2019, following the excavation failure that Simon McIntosh referred to. And we came with a list of community recommendations that would help to improve and reduce the impacts. And we have consulted with city administration. We did that in good faith. We consulted for about a year. And we never really understood what they were going to do with our recommendations. We still don't know. In fact, we asked and we were told to FOIA. So we have found some things in the FOIA documents that are kind of concerning. And I want to ensure that that the city, you know, the zoning bylaw the city plan is what the city wants to achieve. The zoning bylaw is how they're going to achieve it. But the enforcement of bylaws and laws to protect the public and to protect adjacent property, not just private property, public property, we see being damaged. So for that to happen, for it to really proceed in a manner, because we're talking about a lot of infill in the city plan, there needs to be acknowledgement that there needs to be enforcement. Because otherwise, these people end up being collateral damage, and sort of this is kind of considered acceptable risk. That just doesn't make sense.
No, and so I completely understand your point, and so that's why I asked the question. I'm wondering if, you know, over the last couple, that I'm not sure how the challenges that you've raised, they might not have decreased them. So what I'm curious about is that if we've been focusing on the wrong tool to fix the very legitimate concerns you've raised. So meaning, and I don't want to say we should blindly go forward with these zoning bylaw pieces. I want to ask you about engagement right away, but do the changes that are being proposed actually create new problems, or is it rather a lack of enforcement in your mind that continues to create a problem that has existed for some time?
Well, this is the problem that I see, because I have been engaging. I read almost every report I ever receive, so I know quite a bit, and I participated in a lot of public hearings. So one of the things that I see is development creep, and it happens so gradually that people really don't notice it. The other thing is that I have read all of the discussion papers with the zoning bylaw renewal, so I know that overlays there's a strong recommendation to eliminate them. So the mature neighborhood overlay likely will be a thing of the past. I think it was Mariah Samji, she suggested that in order to provide green builds and more insulation and making things more energy efficient, they might have to encroach on the side setback. Well, the other option is to make the buildings smaller. 1.2 meters, we're already having problems. We are seeing lots of problems with excavations, and we're seeing problems with drainage. We have a property in Park Allen this summer, and 3 adjacent properties are impacted by drainage. 2 of them are new infill homes. So this idea that, the reason that there's impacts is because these homes are older or they don't have proper grading. In this case, 2 out of the 3 are infill homes, so that doesn't compute. So what needs to happen is that the city needs to consider that building in existing neighborhoods requires some consideration of the actual built environment and the natural environment and the impacts. And so that's what I hope the city will do. I don't know if that's through the zoning bylaw. That's kind of above my pay grade. I'm a volunteer.
Sure. And I appreciate all the time you volunteer on this. So I've got too short of time. I'll come back on for one last question about engagement. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll go on to round 2 with Counselor Henderson.
Yeah, Mr. Richmond, I just wanted to follow up a little bit, I think, on what I was hearing you say and understanding. And I'm reading the current version of variance regulations. And almost nothing is being proposed to change. And arguably, you could read in natural areas. You're probably right, it probably should be put in here, but that probably is the work that needs to be done with the larger bylaw revision. But as it reads right now, the proposed development, so they can give a variance if the proposed development would not, in their opinion, unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring properties. And which I think arguably you could add the natural areas read into that. So the only thing that's changing, so those are all the reasons why currently that's in the bylaw as it stands. The only thing that's being proposed to change is the limitation of that variance power, which currently says a variance shall be considered only in cases of unnecessary hardship. And the suggestion is to change that to a variance may be considered in cases of unnecessary hardship. That's the only change that's being proposed here. So, the test of why you would, the test of why you would not give a variance, that it might affect the neighbor, that it might affect the property next door or the natural area, is not changing. The wording stays exactly as it is. But the only way a development officer right now could give that variance is if they can show, if the applicant can show that there's some hardship, not to the neighbor, but to themselves in the way they're going to develop their property. And it's that hardship thing is the only thing that is being proposed as a change. All the other tests stay the same. So I just wanted to put that out because I want to make sure we're talking about the right things here. We're actually not changing the test of the neighbor's rights. That stays the same. It really is just the test of at what point they would be able to consider something. And I think there's an interesting argument that says why would you say no to a variance if it has no negative effect on anybody? And right now they would have to say no if the applicant couldn't show that there was hardship to them. So thoughts on that, Mr. Rushman?
Yeah, first of all, variances are a two-edged sword. Absolutely, we're not opposed to variances. There has been arguably, from our perspective, misuse. And it's interesting your quote about the neighboring property, because I have that underlined in red in my notes here. As it certainly could be conceived of as the neighboring property could be, in fact, part of our public park system. Yeah. Unfortunately, the rest of the bylaws, in terms of, for instance, public notification, only relate to, like 60 meters. Neighbors who are within 60 meters can speak to it and so forth. And that needs to be changed, because our public park system is property of all Edmontonians. But that's a separate issue. But the thing is, words have meaning, especially when they go to SDAB or AC or Court of Appeal. Those are words in terms of neighboring property. It's a question of what neighboring property might be. It needs to be explicitly amended. Let me recommend. But just the bottom line here is they say the choice is preserve the status quo of development outcomes and wait until 2022 when the bylaw is replaced entirely, or make this move now and allow administration ability to consider to grant variances who will advance some of the city plan's objectives right away. Okay, we object to that, because that's not the choice. The choice is it could be delayed. This particular proposal could be for relaxing certain tests on variances, and specifically around hardship, could be delayed pending a reasonable public debate. This is such an important issue.
Sharon, I hear you on that. I'm not questioning that. I'm just wondering. I'm wondering how major. They put it forward as a bold move, and I actually am not sure. And that's what I want to explore. That given that the SDAB already doesn't have to deal with that last test about hardship, whether or not, I'm not questioning that there probably is far bigger work that needs to be done on this variance section beyond what's being talked about here today to tidy up a lot of the ways that it is not working well. But I'm wondering if this particular change is if we're responding to a larger problem with this that is not being changed, and that the particular change that's being put on the table here may just actually clarify some stuff. That was my question. Really quickly, I'm out of time, but if you want to just respond quickly.
Well, I think their choices. My last comment was what I'd recommend is that there are choices. Is you don't either throw it out right until 2022, or entrench something now that may have consequences that weren't considered. I think this deserves better debate.
Okay, thank you.
Give it a month.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll go to Counselor Walters.
Thank you. So maybe to start with Ms. Kinney and then Ms. Samji, I hear kind of two stories fairly regularly. One story that's, circumstances such as those described by the folks from Park Allen, which I've seen with my own eyes are pretty terrible outcomes. But then I hear from, people in the industry that the city's actually sometimes a little too involved in their projects, and there's too much oversight. So, it is an interesting needle for us to thread in some ways, but maybe just a response to those things that Ms. Hardstaff had itemized earlier would be interesting for me to hear to start with. So, Ms. Kinney, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to address that question. I think that to the points that have been made by other speakers, the zoning bylaw is one of many checks and balances that we currently have within our given system. We also have a Safety Codes Act that is intended to address some of the issues that were mentioned today. One thing that I think this amendment is doing is that it's giving development officers the ability to more effectively use their professional expertise to balance a variety of inputs and more effectively consider development based on its merit and potential outcomes. The purpose, in my opinion, for a lot of these amendments is to redirect staff resources such that we can move away from looking at low risk and low impact development to more effectively utilize resources to respond to more high risk development. I think in this situation, development officers are competent and are intelligent and are able to balance impacts to adjacent property owners. And oftentimes those impacts, when it comes to hardship, for often, for our members, it's very, very negligible impact. So one example that I can give is on a zero lot line development, if the lot is slightly irregularly shaped, we might require an increase in floor area site coverage, for just 1%. We wouldn't be able to do that without requesting a variance. But that small tweak that would have very minimal impacts on adjacent property owners is something that we could see recognized through this change.
Okay, and there is some disparity between how one party defines low risk versus how another party defines low risk, certainly that we have to be mindful of. And so Ms. Samji, on that note, part of the challenge is recognizing that some builders behave well and some don't, and we've tried to deal with that in part through this expedited process. But can you see merit in what folks like Mr. McIntosh and Ms. Bolton and Ms. Hardstaff are saying in terms of some people just need more oversight, and if we're unable to provide that for whatever reason, it becomes a problem. So maybe just kind of deal with that statement, and what would your suggestions be to make sure that people are following the rules that are there?
Yeah, well, first off, I'd like to thank the Community League of Park Allen for coming and talking today, but not only that, but they build the community that draws other people in. Young people, older people, people of all sizes and ways want to live in that community because of the community that they've built. The conversation that we're having today around education also needing to be there is key, because the expedited program that we've built with this in partnership with the City of Edmonton has seen over 30 businesses go through it. Every one of those businesses took all exams, passed them, and have also been monitored by the City of Edmonton, and not one of them have gotten any kind of repercussions for having bad behavior within either their permits or within their building practices and how they communicate with the neighborhood. Why we bring up the variance conversation today is because we understand, and everyone here at this table understands, that our rule book was created over 20 years ago and no longer aligns with what our city needs, what Edmontonians need. The amount of growth that we've had in that time, the amount of people, technology, the environmental pressures, social pressures has changed, and the way we want to live and build and play and work has changed. And so we're asking that this change happen so that we can have some of those nuanced conversations.
Let me, just before, and sorry to interrupt, Mariah, but just before I run out of time, so I don't have to do a third round, is, one of the major issues that comes up repeatedly is cross-lot drainage, which does, is part of the drainage bylaw. Do you see any of these changes that are being proposed in the zoning bylaw preventing us from doing a good job in preventing cross-lot drainage problems from happening from a builder's perspective?
No, we don't see that being an issue, and we also would like to thank EPCOR, because they're now working with Industry Monthly as well as another working group with the Administration Monthly to make sure that those kind of issues are brought up on a regular basis and dealt with, as well as innovative solutions to those kind of potential issues that could come up.
Okay, well, I'll ask admin a fair bit about that, but thanks.
Thank you, and we'll go to Counselor Knack.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Hardstaff, I wanted to briefly ask you about engagement. I know that I think a normal process would have had a few different workshops where folks come to the different, from different tables come to one table to chat through some of these changes before coming to committee. So that obviously didn't happen for a variety of reasons. Now, recognizing that from how I've read the report, it doesn't say it's coming back to the next public hearing tomorrow. So I'm curious if there is still an opportunity to complete some of that engagement that you were referencing between now and a public hearing date, so as to allow things to move forward. We heard from Mr. Shuchek around changes that probably need to be made quickly to help with some business viability, but if there are some outstanding questions on some of these additional items, can they be talked through between now and a public hearing date to help inform that public hearing?
Just a second here. I am on. I would like to say that there might be, but I have been engaging with city administration for over a year. And we have still not even heard, this has not been heard at Urban Planning Committee yet. EFCL was not properly informed of this. They were not able to provide community leagues with a summary of this report and the amendments and how they would impact communities. Our community, we got together, 7 of us, and we read this report. We went through the amendments line by line, and we discussed them. That's pretty unusual for a community. But we did it because we have seen impact, and we don't want to see impact in our community anymore. There was talk about the drainage bylaw, and I can tell you that there are 5 different significant drainage impacts happening in Park Allen this summer. They have been reported to the city, and I just got an email just a couple of days ago from one of the infill property owners, two-year-old infill home, and they're really concerned about drainage impacts to their property. So, no, I would like to say that that's possible, but there's very little time, and it's like communities are all of a sudden told that you have to really invest a lot of time in this. Whereas if it had been part of the engagement process, part of the zoning bylaw renewal process, it gives communities a little bit more time to think about these things and respond and have an informed response. We really were not given we were given very little information about what this is about, or the information contained in the residential zones discussion paper, which administration is proposing a single small-scale residential zone to replace all of the residential zones that currently exist. There's all kinds of implications that we have to consider here. So I don't know. It's very difficult to participate in this public engagement process because our input is not really valued, it seems. And so I don't know.
No, I just wanted to ask, because I'm going to ask administration about that, because I think, you talked about the public engagement guidelines that we have now, and the idea being good public engagement doesn't always need to necessarily take longer. If done right, it could potentially save you time at a public hearing because folks have had a chance to engage and discuss through some of those items. So I'll find out what kind of timeline we're looking at, and if there's a way to do some of that additional work to make sure we don't have to have a public hearing where 50 people come out because they feel like they haven't had adequate time. So thank you for that feedback. That's it for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I don't see any further questions from council members. Please nod if you're really needing another question. I haven't seen anything on the board. So thank you very much to all our panel. We are now going to move over to questions of administration. And I'm going to begin with Counselor Henderson, who selected this item, if you would go. And then everyone, please sign in so we know you're interested.
Great, thanks. I was just trying to click on. So I guess my first question, actually I have a whole bunch of detailed questions, but I think the premise of this is I'm a little bit puzzled about the timing of this and the urgency. I think probably the next real construction season is probably a few months away. And I'm wondering if it's possible just to slow the whole thing down a little bit, so we might be able to iron out some of these questions. Because I think there is a huge value. The more eyes you have on something, I think our experience is the more likely you are to catch little things you may not have noticed. So any thinking about that?
Yeah, Counselor Henderson, thanks for that question. And, really this work is rooted in Reimagine and the urgency associated with looking at doing things differently because of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the economic downturn. The report yesterday at Exec Committee talked about our open for business approach, and a lot of this report is aligned to that. But I also want you to know that it's not just aligned to that, it also is aligned to policy and to the city plan and enabling that policy more quickly. We didn't do typical engagement. We have done things differently here, and that is also part of Reimagine, is to rethink engagement and prioritize action. But I want you to know that we have listened, but we have listened in ways that are different than our typical engagement processes.
Yeah, I guess my question though would be on some of these pieces that may be fine, but that are creating nervousness because there hasn't been enough time to look at them. If there's a way to just say, okay, let's keep on going with this in terms of considering them, but buy a bit more time for some scrutiny on this, I can't imagine that would slow us down by more than 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Well, Councilor, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, and I'm just wondering if that's possible.
What would happen is we'd have to take resources off of the zoning bylaw renewal project. So what I'd say to committee today is if you're uneasy with any of the amendments being proposed, that you remove them and that we consider them through the zoning bylaw renewal project, which is where the resources are going to be focused.
I'm wondering if it's not necessarily so much about resources. It may be about just buying a few more, a bit more time before any final decisions made on this. So everybody has a chance to just spend a bit more time with it. I'm not sure it's our time that's needed. I think it may be, the chance to think it through and talk it through and understand. I think that what I'm hearing is that's the larger issue here.
Counselor Henderson, there will be some time between now and the public hearing process for people to be able to look over the material and engage in the public hearing process.
Okay. All right. Well, just to explore a few of the things. I had some little questions. The Class A, the idea of not doing notification to neighbors on Class A permitted development. I had some questions about that because the reality is, although theoretically a Class A is not appealable, whether or not something is a Class A is appealable. And that's my one worry about it. And I think we often forget that piece of the puzzle, that if a development officer has deemed something not a variance, it is possible to appeal and say, no, this is a variance. And we have had those issues in the past. And that's my one worry with not giving proper notice to the neighbors so that they have a chance to have a look at that. I know it's rare, but I think it's an important point. And I just thoughts about that.
I'll let Ms. Petrin weigh in on that.
Counselor Henderson, as you noted, it is very rare. The notification only applies to infill and small-scale development related to eliminate the requirement to mail out Class A notifications. And there are other ways for property owners or nearby residents to be informed of what is proposed.
But would they know in time if they did choose to question whether or not it was a Class A permit?
So we do have the requirement for a sign to be posted on site. So there's the development permit sign.
When does that sign go up, though? Before the application or after the application's been approved?
Mm-hmm. The sign goes up 2 weeks after the decision is made.
And that would be 2 weeks gone in the possible in any timing to appeal whether it indeed was a Class A permit, would it not?
The appeal period is 21 days.
So you'd be down to 7 days at that point.
That's correct.
That's my worry about this, because and I think for the sake of putting a few cards in the mail, I'm not sure it's worth taking that risk. So anyway, I'm out of time. I'll have to come around for a second round. Thanks.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions as well. Now, there was a mention by some of the speakers about ensuring that stack row housing could have the garden suites, secondary suites. Just some comment on that, or what you were thinking. Have you considered that?
Councillor Zinger, I'm going to pass this to Mr. Shamchuk.
Hi there. Yes, when we shared this draft report with stakeholders, including some of those that you heard from today, we did hear this feedback regarding opportunities for stacked row housing. There are some issues that gave us pause for including this within the zoning bylaw omnibus. It is something that we had contemplated in that it was very similar to some of the other proposed amendments with respect to gentle densification. The things that gave us pause and made us think that this is better to leave to the zoning bylaw renewal to further examine was primarily related to the definition of secondary suites in the Safety Code Act. So the codes, the building codes, the fire codes treat secondary suites as a discrete type of dwelling. And this proposed amendment that's been presented by the stakeholders today would put our definition of secondary suites at odds with the definition of secondary suites in the code. And that creates an inconsistency that would lead to process challenges and potential internal consistencies issues as well with the zoning bylaw, in that we have another use class called multi-unit housing, which allows for 3 or more units in any configuration. So generally, we do not like to have 2 uses that allow for the same type of development. And so to contemplate something like this, it would require additional research and consideration of some of the implications of allowing this form. And perhaps the best way to accomplish that in a wider area isn't necessarily with the specific wording that's been proposed about reviving stacked row housing, which is in fact a retired term and use from our bylaw, but perhaps looking at other ways of contemplating residential zones and land use, which is already being done through the course of the renewal initiative.
Just to add to that, Councillor Erzinger, it's an idea that we want to explore through the zoning bylaw renewal.
So you're interested in it, but you're not ready to recommend it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I did read an email about someone having some legal concerns for us going down this path. I'm sure you've seen the email as well, and I just wanted some response. If you have any, have we looked at it through any legal challenges of going forward?
Yes, Counselor, we have, absolutely, and I'll pass it to our legal services team to be able to respond to that.
Counselor Essinger, this is Jess Inkman, just from Legal Services. So I have looked at the concerns that have been brought up with respect to the change in variance, and I can advise that we still have that test for variance within our bylaw, and all we're doing, and as Counselor Henderson has sort of accurately captured, is removing one of our limitations on variance that's currently existing in our zoning bylaw. So the variance test would more closely resemble the SDAB's test that they have to meet under the MGA. So no concerns from my end in terms of the adjustments that is being proposed.
Okay, thank you for
Councillor
that.
Erzinger, if I could just add and reflect that our development officers are urban planning professionals that need to provide a strong planning rationale when considering variances. So I think there's further analysis as they make these decisions on what the impacts are, and it's really allowing the flexibility to meet the intent of the city plan. So better aligning our tool with our policy document.
And could you help me understand the timeline? Because if we approve this, it goes to public hearing, which the public will have an opportunity to speak to before it becomes in place. When were you planning on that? And just want to make sure people know what we're thinking.
Councillor Erzinger, our intent was to advance after Urban Planning Committee to public hearing, most likely in December. Otherwise, it would be in January of 2021.
Okay, so we're looking at a 4 to 8 weeks kind of time period.
Exactly. To meet the requirements of our advertising requirements before a public hearing, we have to prepare those items about 6 weeks in advance. So to meet that December public hearing date, we would have everything prepared for in about 2 weeks.
Okay. I think I'm going to run out of time, so I'll give the floor to others. I see Councillor Walters on. Go ahead.
Indeed, I am. So these questions that were raised, Ms. Petrin, about development creep, lack of oversight, the importance of checks and balances, maybe, what are the key checks and balances that are here today that remain or get changed as a result of this work? So maybe both of those, what remains and what gets changed?
So definitely hear and understand and aware of the concerns that we've had from communities around cross-lot drainage and those types of things, but we have a number of tools to deal with those issues, and it's not just the zoning bylaw. There's the drainage bylaw, community standards bylaw, noise bylaw, etc. So before committee today are changes related to the zoning bylaw. So focused on what we regulate and why, and outside of the text type of amendments, the items captured in the bold moves are really low risk type of changes to streamline our process, make it easier to do business with us.
So is site coverage considered low risk, low risk variance? Could it be considered? It's not itemized anywhere that I see what defines low risk.
Yeah, so the site coverage change here in what is proposed is low risk. It would be my opinion. you know, I think it's a piece that we're going to consider further as we listen and learn from this change, and how we might make further changes through the zoning bylaw renewal.
But does site coverage as a low-risk variance potentially affect the ability and the space required to deal with some of the cross-law drainage? So if you have more space on a site, you have more ability to kind of embed some of the strategies, whether it be the swales or whatever, in unique circumstances. Because what we've discovered in these mature neighborhoods is, you know, 50, 60, 70 years old, land settled differently. There's no one, like every site seems almost unique in a way. And that may be untrue or a bit of too much of a statement, but it feels like the site coverage would have some risk on our ability to deal with enforcing the drainage bylaw and things contained within it.
Potentially, but I think what's being proposed here is a low-risk type of change, and also through the drainage bylaw and our development permit compliance team, we have other tools and abilities to mitigate the concerns that arise. I'll maybe just pass it to Adam if there's anything further you want to comment.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I think it's important to note, and I heard a little earlier in this meeting, was that the limitations on variance are being changed in a relatively minor way, such that the other requirements that a development officer must consider when making a decision around a variance remain. And that includes impact to neighboring properties and to the amenities of a neighborhood overall. And I would say that where a variance is being considered with respect to site coverage, the impact of that decision would contemplate potential issues that you've described related to drainage and so on.
So repeat that last part. What would contemplate?
In considering the impact of a variance, they need to consider the impact on neighboring properties, right? And so if there was an anticipated scenario where a variance, in the opinion of a development officer and in consultation with the other subject matter experts that are circulated on the application, would cause an undue impact to the neighboring properties, that's not likely something we'd support, and that's why this is relatively low risk.
Is it something that SDAB would support?
I couldn't tell you.
You can't tell me, and because nobody can tell us what they support and why they support things. And so this, and I get that, you know, us tough, you know, going the other way potentially and being tougher on variances doesn't necessarily make things different at SDAB, and I get that. So our the infill compliance report, that comes in December.
It's coming in January of 2021.
Oh, it's January now?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that report, we're going to talk about the drainage bylaw in part and circumstances like those raised by some of the speakers today in terms of our ability to respond and prevent neighboring properties from having drainage issues. Is that a place for us to discuss that more comprehensively?
Yes, and that report will look at the development compliance statistics as well as a number of suggestions that the residential infill working group had advanced and suggested related to drainage and excavation issues.
So that's an opportunity for us to really kind of continue to focus on the checks and balances, knowing if this was to proceed, knowing that this is now the direction we're going, it gives us context for what we have to maybe double down on in some cases.
Yep, that's correct. And the changes proposed in these bold moves are somewhat unrelated to the issues around drainage and excavation.
Somewhat, but I'm not convinced they're completely unrelated is my point, right? Is that we're struggling with that issue no matter, just because the settled geography of Edmonton, the landscape of Edmonton.
It's good feedback though, Councillor Walters, and we can take that back and consider that impact when we draft the bylaw as our next steps.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I went over, sorry, Beth.
I was gracious because you were here. We'll go to Councillor Knack on the first round.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to quickly follow up on Councillor Henderson's questions and a bit of Councillor Essinger's questions around the engagement. Ms. McCabe, when you were answering, and I don't think it was meant this way, but it felt like there were sort of only two options. One of which was take somebody off the city planning team to do a sort of long and thorough engagement process, or just throw it to a public hearing. And I don't think that's what you were necessarily describing, but I'm just curious, like, what a 2-hour engagement session with a couple, put them in a room, just say, hey, we want to make sure we've understood everything. This is coming to a public hearing right away, but we want to better understand some of that feedback so we're not answering questions on the fly to public hearing.
Counselor Knack, thanks for that opportunity to provide clarity. There's rarely ever only one or two options in local government. There's always all the shades of gray in between, and that wasn't my intent to say that there was only two options. All I was trying to say is that we really do want to focus on the zoning bylaw renewal project and put primarily all of our resources into that renewal project because of the importance. The current bylaw today, what's before you are some minor changes. Some of them are bold, but really there are fixes on something that we know needs to be overhauled. And the zoning bylaw renewal project gives us that opportunity to create something that's completely aligned to policy, that's more streamlined, that gets better outcomes for Edmontonians overall. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, so I think we're completely on the same page for that. So I guess my question is, all I'm wondering is that between now and a public hearing, is that not possible? I think you're right. There's a lot of these changes seem fairly minor. We heard about some of the needs for businesses. We heard about some of those other pieces, but there's a feeling of potential uncertainty around a couple of these things, and I'm just wondering if a simple 2-hour meeting sort of might not resolve everything, but it will help make sure we fully understood everything going into a public hearing versus potentially folks making assumptions about some of what I think you've defined as minor changes and then resulting in a very different public engagement and public hearing experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and understood, Councillor Knack. We're happy to have a meeting with whatever parties would like to meet with us, if that's through the EFCL, which would be a very efficient way for us to get together and hear those, and so that we can make sure that we carry those messages to you when we get to public hearing.
That's great. Yeah, I thought that was all good. I thought I would clarify it, so I appreciate your openness to that. And I mean, maybe the EFCL doesn't. I realize they're not here today for some of the reasons that were mentioned earlier, but maybe they don't feel there's a need to. But if they do, it's nice to know that they'd have an opportunity for a quick meeting on that. So thanks for that answer. That's it for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Counselor Henderson.
Yeah, just maybe to go to a couple of the other questions I had. The expiry of the permit, changing that period, and I just wondering, thinking around that, because we have had circumstances in the past where I think we've regretted that permits haven't expired. Things have dragged on for a while. It's another one where I'm just worried there may be some unintended consequences. If the question you're asking us is what should we be maybe thinking through a little bit more, that's one that flags for me. That there may be unintended consequences to that are very hard to take back. And that's been our experience in the past, where there were development permits that went out, then thinking's changed. We wish we could have changed stuff and we can't. And being able to, by right, extend a permit for double the time and then sit on it and have it sit there stale, I think may not be in our best interest. So I wouldn't mind some thinking on why we think there's urgency to that. I think there may be unintended consequences to that one.
Councillor Henderson, I appreciate the perspective and the comments. The part of this is really just to support the market conditions that are relevant today, where the go, no-go decision can be uncertain for some of our businesses. So this just provides a bit of flexibility to be able to respond to that market condition. I will reiterate again that we can listen and learn and see how that goes, and if there are unintended consequences that weren't considered, we can definitely make some changes to that through the zoning bylaw renewal. And again, that's coming in a draft to Urban Planning Committee in the first quarter of 2022.
I think I would be, under those circumstances, I think I would be more comfortable looking at this as a temporary provision rather than a permanent one, recognizing it may be very much about now. And that if I'd be more comfortable with saying for the next year or so, we're prepared to do this and not baking it in. And I don't know if there's a way to do that.
We definitely take that back. I will say that we'll have a brand new bylaw in 2022.
But I'm guessing changes we make now are going to get baked into the new bylaw. We're unlikely to roll them back. So I know that, but I don't want to send the wrong signal around this accidentally, because I think that signal will go to that new bylaw.
So Henderson, some will, some won't. I think part of this period is about listening and learning. It's not a done deal that all of these changes are going to go into the zoning bylaw renewal project. That's why we're doing a robust engagement through that project right now. So we'll take that away and look at if there's a way we can make that one temporary. But we also want you to know that not all of this. This is about listening and learning over the next year to help also inform the zoning bylaw renewal project.
And then something I just was puzzled by, the on-site vehicle parking quantities. In Tier 3, we're taking out non-accessory parking. I'm not entirely sure why non-accessory parking was in there to begin with, but can someone just walk me through the ramifications of that?
I can speak to that, Counselor. This is Trevor Illingworth from the zoning bylaw team, and it was an oversight, an administrative oversight that was included into the list in the first place. It's no longer a listed use in the zoning bylaw, so it shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Good. I wondered. I was puzzled it was there to begin with, but I just wanted to double check. Anyway, good. All right. So I guess just to go back in my dying minute to the question of the variances, because in reality right now, I'd be curious to know how much we're actually really heavily using that test of hardship. It doesn't feel like, and STB clearly doesn't have to. That's the major difference between our test and theirs. But I'm a little bit nervous about doing a Band-Aid fix to something that probably needs a bigger fix in terms of exactly what our intent is with variances. We've had this conversation in the past that in some ways we're using variances when probably what we should be doing is fixing the underlying zone. Or we use them as a negotiating tactic to get other stuff that we want. So I'm just a little bit nervous about putting a Band-Aid on something that probably needs a bigger fix, and maybe opening up another set of circumstances that, in actual fact, probably is working as well as it can right now. And this isn't going to particularly fix this. So how much do we actually use that provision of hardship?
I can answer that, Counselor Henderson. It's Gail Hickmore, the Director of Development and Zoning Services. So currently, the main tool that the development officers use is the impact to neighboring properties. However, we do consider hardship, but in most cases, in order to get a great design, especially in infill development, our greatest concern is the impact and how it's going to affect the neighborhood at large and the individual properties of the adjacent properties.
Great.
For Henderson, if I may, just want to provide some clarity around the change here today, is that this will put some parameters in around where those variances can be granted, and that we will be tracking that over the next year. It really is about enabling the development officers to use their professional judgment through the process, and we'll track it, and we will use what we learn through this to help inform the ZBR, to inform that zoning bylaw renewal, so we have a bit more data to help understand what that can look like when we brought in the new zoning bylaw renewal.
Great, thanks. I'm out of time.
Thank you. I'm very gracious today. I have a couple of questions that are left yet. I would love it if the public hearing was in January to allow for this additional public engagement meeting with EFCL. Would we need to have a motion to do that, to direct that, or what? Because this is really a receive for information. That's one of my questions. My second question is related to that. Would it be possible to get a report back to see what's happening? Because I think before it went to that 2022, it'd be nice to know maybe some of the unintended things that we don't even know right now, so that we could have a chance to have that further discussion before it made that 2022 period. So just some thoughts.
Councillor, we can absolutely bring this forward in January if that's the will of committee. We don't need to. We don't need a motion for that. We've also spent some time here listening today. We want to make sure that we can get that meeting in with EFCL. If they're willing to meet with us, we're happy to meet with them, but we'd be come forward early in January. This will absolutely, whatever changes are made today, whatever council decides to pass in January, that will absolutely inform the zoning bylaw renewal project, and we will be tracking and understanding and listening and learning as we bring that forward. And we would be happy to report back on that. Just would suggest that their motion would be helpful to make sure that we've got that tracked.
One comment I would just add, Counselor, as there is in the bold moves, there's one related to the temporary outdoor patios bylaw changes. And when Council made that amendment earlier this year, it had a termination date of the end of the year. So that may be one piece we look at advancing sooner rather than later. But otherwise, no concern with doing a bit more engagement on this.
And I think we heard that this morning, that needs to happen sooner than later, and I don't think we've heard any negative, but I do want to make sure our public has enough time to weigh in, and that meeting would be important for EFCL who feel they haven't had enough time, but to still keep it moving forward. And a report back, if there was a motion on that, what would be the time frame that you would suggest?
I would suggest that we bring it forward with the zoning bylaw renewal itself, so we can show you how we've incorporated what we've learned through developing that bylaw.
And just to make myself feel better, if there is something that's unintended, that's glaring, that we learn through making some big moves, you won't wait till then to bring that back, will you?
Absolutely not. We will bring that back much sooner if there was something that was unintended through the process.
Now, we've heard good feedback, and we don't think there is, but just things happen sometimes we don't even know. All right, at the appropriate time, we'll have that conversation, but I have one more question. Councillor Walters.
You're not only gracious today, Councillor Esslinger, you're gracious every day. So thank you.
No more time for you. Awesome.
I'd asked earlier of the speakers just some perspective on the expedited infill builders program. So maybe Ms. Petrin, if you wanted to, if we are trying to create more predictability and less emphasis of staff time on low risk development, part of that, I think the definition of risk depends sometimes on the applicant. And so any updates on your end on how that's going and how that can continue to be improved and whether we can get more take-up, et cetera?
I think it's going well is the short answer, but we are expanding work with IDEA related to building permit work. And so piloting that with them now, actually I think the first education session is happening now. So not only on the development permit side, but also on the back end, on the building permit side, to look at streamlining those processes. And really that's about having a quality application, complete application for us to make our decisions more quickly. We also have a project that is advancing this year around service levels and establishing what to expect in terms of timelines when you come in for a service within the permitting and licensing work. And so that creates better predictability and reliability in our service as well.
So that's work being done with IDEA and also with CHBA, or are they part of it?
So the building permit piece of that, it's just being piloted right now, but it's really just to see how the program is working, get some feedback, and then it will be rolled out across all organizations or to any of our applicants. Okay,
so that's, we'll ask more about that, I think, in January too. The other question I wanted to ask Ms. McCabe and potentially, I don't know if it was Ms. Ingpen or Mr. Johnson, I can't remember who was here from law. But as it relates to SDAB and sort of riffing off what Counselor Henderson was talking about earlier in terms of how we interpret things and how they interpret things, I know that other than appointing the members of SDAB, we don't have necessarily any jurisdiction there. Although I wonder about our capacity to reflect with them about, how, we hear all these concerns about decisions that are made by our DOs or by SDAB we hear about those and the fallout from those. But I don't know that they ever do. And I wonder, you know, in the spirit of good governance and good policy execution, how do we reflect with an arm's length body like that about challenges that I know at the council side we hear about regularly?
Hi, Councillor. This is Ms. Inkpen from Legal Services. I can appreciate sort of your concern here with the quasi-judicial body, but they are an independent body of the city and of council. And so, you know, you've already sort of outlined that as council, you appoint that body, but additionally, you speak to them through how your regulations, through the zoning bylaw and what you draft as the rules and regulations. But there's not, they are an independent body separate from the city, and we have to keep that separation to ensure that, you know, there's fairness in the process.
So I guess I understand that, but then I guess I'm speaking more about, so we speak to them through regulation in our zoning bylaw, and it's kind of like the, you know, the telephone game around the fire. You know, what we start with doesn't necessarily end up as the same sentence or the same interpretation by the time it gets to their interpretation. So I guess I'm pushing on that a little bit because we've heard repeatedly that there are some challenges there. And so what is our avenue in a democratic society to address some of those concerns?
Councillor Walters, I think, you know, I'll let Ms. Inkpen speak to the avenues in a democratic society, but I think from a relationship point of view, there's an opportunity for myself, and I know Ms. Petron's done this already, is to meet with the chair and talk about the policy goals that council's trying to achieve and how we're implementing those policy goals. Ms. Inkpen?
Certainly, and just to reiterate your question, you're looking for the different avenues that council can use to speak to.
Right, and I know we tried through the MGA changes and through the charter changes and we're unsuccessful.
Right, and so I would also suggest, Councillor Walters, that you know, when matters do go to SDAB for consideration, some of our documentation, similar to what has been presented to you today, can be brought as evidence in terms of council's interpretation of what they're passing. So we do have markups and different commentary that do go through council and get either approved or received for information. And those can be used also by the city to help inform the SDAB in terms of intention of regulation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I see no further questions. Oh, I see Counselor Henderson has one final question. If not, we'll put a motion out.
Well, it's not really a question. I was actually prepared to put a motion. I just want to make sure I get the right one. So, as the next step process, if there's something we definitely think should be put aside, you need a motion to say that, or will you just hear what's being said here if we raise concerns?
If there's something that you'd like to take out from what we've brought forward today, we would like a motion for that.
Okay, so I just want to explore something with you then, because I think, you know, there's some of it I think absolutely we're not hearing any problems with, probably should go ahead, and I think, you know, you making it possible sooner rather than later is a good thing. There are other pieces of the puzzle that I still have questions about, but I think you've heard those questions, you know, and that would have to do with if we can put a time limit on the extensions and also something around more discussion, I think, around this question of variances. But I'm hearing you that will happen. Those conversations now will happen. And before we finally have to say yay or nay, you'll come back to us and we'll have more information on those. The Class A permitted development and not giving notice on that is the one thing I'm inclined to ask you to pull out. Just because I think there is benefit in letting neighbors know as much as possible and as clearly as possible what's happening. And I think pulling back on that to save a few stamps is probably not wise. So I think, Madam Chair, I'd be prepared to it's not actually move for information anymore then. It would be to ask, the motion would be, I think, to go forward, and I would suggest take M out. I think that's the letter that's associated with the Class A development permits, and say, by all means, continue to look at how we do that notification, but I think until we have a better answer, I think more work needs to be done there. So I don't know how to frame that, but I'd be prepared to make that motion.
I was going to also add to provide a report to committee outlining any feedback and learnings that they would be incorporated into the zoning bylaw renewal. Would you consider that as part of the motion?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was my intent. I'm sorry, I just don't have the precise wording there. I think there was something on a report that gives us a template. Let me just try and pull it up.
Madam Clerk, can you put
The administration prepare amendments to zoning bylaw 12,800 specifically is outlined in sections, well, all of them in attachment 2 and return to future. The trouble is I would just accept in sections M. In all sections except in section M.
Councillor
and return. And, yep. Mm-hmm.
We do have a motion prepared. I will have
Great,
it
thank you.
displayed shortly.
Thank you. And Councillor Katarina, did you want to speak to the motion? Is that, sorry, I just saw you pop up there.
Yeah, no, if the motion hasn't been made yet, I guess
No.
I can't
No,
ask,
I just wanted to
in
make sure it wasn't a
general.
question.
No, it was to the motion, but if I could ask Ms. Petrin, I think I heard you say earlier that the Class A issue that we're talking about here and putting it into motion is so rare. Can you expand on that a little bit? And how rare is it? And if there's actually even necessity for this motion to come forward?
So I was speaking to, how often is it that a property owner would appeal a Class A permit? That's very rare. And I would just add that the purpose of putting this through the proposed changes is more than just the costs associated with stamps. These are the development rights for the property. The applicant meets all of the bylaw requirements and checks all the boxes, so to speak. And what happens in turn is that the property owners call us, and we spend a lot of time talking to surrounding property owners that have no ability to do or change the decision. And so it's just around being focused on our policy alignment with the city plan and allowing development to proceed and focus our attention on the work that is more impactful.
Okay, and Ms. Petrin, can you put a sort of a scope on it? Rare meaning, can you give us this year's number of times this happened or last year's number of times? Rare is, what are we talking about in actual numbers? If you can.
2, 3.
Okay, so with that being said, thank you, Ms. Petrin. Yeah, exactly. And so I don't believe this amendment this motion is relevant at all with those numbers there. And it's been explained that it's so rare that if it does happen, it'll be captured by administration at the time. So if the motion does come forward, I can't support it.
Okay, so right now, let's put that motion on, and then we'll be able to debate a little bit more intelligently.
I will move that administration prepare amendments to the zoning bylaw 12,800 is generally outlined in attachment 2, with the exception of section M of the October 25th, 2020 Urban Form and Corporate Strategic Development Report, zoning by Omnibus 2020, and return to a future city council public hearing. And maybe just to speak really briefly to why I'm suggesting this. I don't just do it because of the possibility of appeal. I think that is very rare, but I do think there is a principle there that we need to remember that we often forget, that it is possible to appeal. The theory that it is not appealable is actually not correct. You're not appealing the permit, you're appealing whether the permit was indeed a Class A. But that's not the major reason why I do this. I hear quite a bit from people who are just plain surprised that all of a sudden a house is being knocked down next to them or a building going up because they haven't been aware, because they haven't been contacted. And I think I just think it's good practice to let people who are neighboring a property know that something's going to happen on that property. I think it helps give people assurance that they know who to phone, they can ask questions, all of those kind of things. And that's really what this provision does. It would say that just because something can't be appealed or is a Class A, that we're not going to let you know that we give them permission for something to happen next door. And I just think in terms of trying to help as much as possible with what is inevitably disruptive, the more we can give people assurance and information, the better. And this is a fairly simple tool that allows them to know that something's happening and allows them to then phone us and ask us questions. And this is hard on the neighbor when it happens, and everything we can do to give them assurance and every tool we can use to give them assurance, I think is worth doing. And that's the reason why I think this is, there may be other ways in which we can do the notification, but I think pulling back on this notification is going to create more upset and more distrust. And that's why I'm suggesting more thought needs to go into this. You can bring this back with a larger zoning bylaw, but I think it has some consequence that needs to be thought through a bit better.
Thank you. Councillor Katarina, did you have additional comments, or have you said what you need?
Well, the motion has come forward. If you could split this, I do certainly want to support the report for receive for information, but I don't support this adjustment to it.
Okay, certainly we can do that.
Okay.
And, when I understand Counselor Henderson's concerns, and because we also have the opportunity for it to come back in 2022, because you may bring it back then if it's not successful now. If we're going to err on any way, it'll be on informing the public. So I'm okay with deleting it at this time, knowing that it can come back. And that's my question, Ms. Petrin. Would it be able to come back in the bigger bylaw discussion?
Absolutely, and it is part of our notification and discussion paper that we're doing through the zoning bylaw, so we may reflect on this more.
Okay, so I'm happy to support that.
Councillor Isinger, can I just add one comment to reflect in the motion to also note attachment 3, which hasn't got a lot of discussion today, but it is part of the omnibus changes, and it's more of the minor text amendment changes.
Okay, so Councillor Henderson, there is support. Administration has said we need to add the words attachment 3 in the motion. Is that friendly?
Yes, I had no concerns with attachment 3. I read through it. It all looked good to me.
Okay, so certainly it can be as part of the motion. I see no one else on the board. Councillor Henderson, did you want to close?
No, I wouldn't say anything that I haven't already said. I maybe just actually really quickly, I think the motion, it's important that there is some more work done on some of these other areas, whether I'll be prepared to support them later, but I think they're worth doing that little bit extra because I see the benefit of them if we can just do some double checking around them.
Okay, so we are going to split the motion. So the first, right?
Yes,
Madam Clerk.
Yes, we can certainly do that. Apologies. When Councillor Henderson read in the motion, I heard him read in part 2, but not part 1, and I'm not sure if I'm having a second Monday or I just want to confirm that the entire
You're right.
motion
I'm sorry. Yeah, the administration provided a report to committee. I missed that. My apologies. The administration provided a report to committee outlining how feedback and learnings will be incorporated into the zoning bylaw renewal. And the 2 that Urban Planning Committee recommend to City Council, and then that was the bit that I did read in that includes the exemption of Section M. So if I'm understanding Councillor Katarina's concern, he wants the exception of Section M taken out. It's not actually splitting 1 and 2, which probably would have to be done with if he wants to propose an amendment, I think, to the motion. I'm guessing, but I'll defer to the chair on that.
Just clarity, is that what I was thinking about, having a report back, and then the other one was 1 and 2. Councillor Katarina, have I misunderstood that?
No, you haven't misunderstood. I support the receipt for information going forward. The only part that I cannot support is Councillor Henderson's amendment to withdraw that section of it.
Okay.
So I don't know how you're going to structure this for the vote.
So part 1 was the one that was the report back, and part 2 was the one that removed M from the discussion.
Okay, then that's fine.
So can we have a vote on part 1? Please vote.
We have all 4 votes, Madam Chair.
Display the vote. And that is carried unanimously. Now, part 2 is approving all the rest with the exception of M. Would you please vote now?
We have all 4 votes,
And display the vote. And that is carried 3-1. And Councillor Katarina would be the one that voted against that. This finishes item 6.1. Thank you, everyone. It is 10:02. We could probably get our, I'm not sure. We have 3 speakers now, so if we have time to get everyone in before lunch, it would be challenging. So if you're on item 6.1, if you would drop off the call. If you are here for item 6.3, we could start with the presentation and then we'd have to do speakers at 1:30.
Madam Chair, we do not have a presentation.
Okay, there's no presentation. I'm just looking for my colleagues. It is 10:02. Do we want to extend a little bit to finish this item?
I would move to extend. I know that in part they just want to give us an update on where they're at with the ski club, so there may not be a lot of questions. And that's the presentations around that. So we could probably, I don't think this is going to be a contentious item.
Okay.
Let's vote on 2.
Pardon?
So, Madam Chair, I'll move to
let's
finish
vote on
this
2.
item.
Okay, so we have a motion to extend to finish this item. Please vote. Is that coming up?
It should be on your screens now.
Yeah.
We have 4 votes.
And display the vote. We are going to finish this item. Administration, did you have any opening remarks?
Nothing.
Okay, if we can go straight to the speakers on this item, they may not need as much time. I'm sorry, Rajka Tulik is the first one.
Yes, hello, it's Rajka Tulik, yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, good morning, Madam Chair, members of Council, City Council and Committee. My apologies, I'm going to have to keep my camera off because the Wi-Fi connection where I am is quite strained. So as I said, my name is Rajka Tulik. I am the Edmonton Ski Club Board President, and I'm joined today by 2 more speakers representing ESC, Board Member Heather McSporin-Heil and General Manager Adam Luciak. So we're here to ask your support for adding 2 new modular units to the ESC club site that will support safer and more enjoyable user experience. So, well, first off, on behalf of our board and staff, I would like to first and foremost acknowledge and thank you for your support of ESC in the past. It's in large part due to that support that we are here today representing our nearly 110-year-old club. So thank you
for the opportunity to speak to our ask, as well as to share with you in quick highlights some of our 2019-2020 season success, the historical role of ESC as a generational club that has played a significant part in our community, and the importance of winter sports. As well, the current trajectory of ESC's growth and how it will lead into sustained long-term success. So the winter season saw ESC open its doors on December 4th, 2019, offering a full array of rental equipment, ski and snowboard lessons, camps, and even an event specifically designed to encourage those who never tried skiing or snowboarding to experience the joy and benefit of snow sports. So we also successfully improved on infrastructure, and most notably with the addition of the new carpet lift, which it not only opened the hill to more guests of varying abilities, but also made it possible for ESC to open a brand new tube park. So the tube park is an activity new to ESC, and it also serves to further increase the cross-section of guests who can now enjoy the hill by offering activities beyond just skiing and snowboarding. So in addition, we created partnerships with Kids Sport and Free Footy in efforts to expand our reach to disadvantaged and inner-city youth programs. Despite losing some of the hill's vertical height due to the LRT construction, we anticipate it will be the LRT that greatly benefits youth programs. And we look forward to being the only North American urban ski hill that is serviced by an LRT station. So working closely with the City of Edmonton, and due to unprecedented circumstances, our season included not only standard winter months, but in addition and responding to the community needs, with local partnerships old and new, we were able to, for the first time in club's history, offer summer programs such as bike repair shop, mountain biking lessons, patio yoga, outdoor youth fitness classes, and we hosted wildly popular events that saw $15,000 roughly go directly to local musicians and artists. And it was all held at a safe outdoor venue, respecting and following all COVID-19 government recommendations. Excuse me. So our team is looking forward to a new and successful winter season as we serve the community through these challenging times, to say the least. And I just want to say thank you once again for your time and your attention, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next we'll go to Mr. Lusiak.
Hello, everyone. My name's Adam Lusick. I'm the general manager with the Edmonton Ski Club. And Rika did a great job of laying out our past season and where we're going from here. First of all, I do, again, want to say thank you for letting us present and let you know where things are at. We're busy right now. I'm at the Hill right now. We're busy getting things ready for this upcoming winter. And part of that is preparing to be able to offer outdoor recreation safely for people participating this winter. The main thing is we've updated a bunch of our information in regards to COVID protocols. That being indoor spaces at the Hill, people are required to have face coverings. We've limited the capacity in our main lodge. With that being the case, that brings forward the reason for why we are bringing forward these modular units on site. The smaller one of them is to serve as an outdoor ticketing window. So that allows for us to serve food and beverage and do tickets at a contactless setting. So people do not need to go inside using that unit. So that's the purpose of that unit. The other one is, since we do offer rentals out of our main lodge, we don't have any seating available. And so the other unit is to provide for young kids, who we do target lots of families, it is to provide that this coming winter. We do have a lot of exciting things that we're hoping to expand into. So we've varied the terrain for this upcoming winter, as well as we're continuing to offer tubing. I know we'll be announcing shortly our opening date is, we're just kind of waiting on the weather, but we're looking at opening tubing as soon as possible, and being able to do so in a safe manner, especially with all the concerns with COVID is something that we're really looking to do, and that's all based on keeping people outdoors and keeping active in the outdoors. The main thing with our tubing and our hill operations is a lot of people are looking for stuff to do, and we saw the opportunity to expand our hours based on how busy biking was in the River Valley this past summer. Throughout the last year, as Rika touched on briefly, we did manage to develop a lot of relationships. I'm not going to list them all here, but our main goal moving forward into this season is to work with a lot of other local businesses, as we've been doing in the past, as well as build upon the positive relationships that we've developed with the city of Edmonton, being able to work closely with them on a number of projects, including this one, and then also work closely with the Folk Music Festival. So we've built up our relationship with them, and we are working on a number of projects. This proposal here is a small first step, where in future years we have larger goals of making the club really self-sustaining. Part of that is working closely with the Folk Music Festival on redeveloping the facility, as well as upgrading security for patrons using the area. And these are all projects that we're working with them closely on. Again, thank you, and with your support, we look forward to being able to move this project, getting the modular units on site and able to use, so that we can offer outdoor recreation safely this season, and then moving forward on a number of different projects into the future as well. So yes, thank you again for taking the time to listen, and I know it's 12:03, so I'm not going to take up any more time out of lunch. So
thank you, and we appreciate that. We have a final speaker, and I'm sorry I missed the last name. It is Heather
McSporin-Heil.
Please go ahead. Heather, you'll need to unmute yourself. You'll need to unmute, Heather.
There should be a microphone icon along the bottom of your screen. It will be red now, and if you touched it, will be white.
This is Rika Tulik again. I know Heather was experiencing some technical issues with, specifically with Google Meet. So I guess we can give her a few more seconds.
We're actually on completely opposite sides of the room, so we can talk. But I'll get her to come over to my computer here, and then she'll be able to present over here.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Iveson and Council. I'm Heather McSporn-Heil, and I'm an original Edmontonian and a current board member of the Edmonton Ski Club. The Edmonton Ski Club, being one of Canada's oldest ski clubs since its inception in 1911, continues to meet, serve, and exceed the community's needs and expectations, continuously reinventing itself. I learned to ski as a young girl back in the 60s, taking the Edmonton transit system bus to the hill, and LRT might have been nice back then. Our family has been privileged to ski at the Edmonton Ski Club for some five generations and continues today. Both of my daughters explored the Edmonton Ski Club slopes as toddlers, and then into the 90s progressed through the freestyle skiing program, which was based out of the Edmonton Ski Club. The program was in direct response to Canada's success at the Olympics, with Jean-Luc Brassard winning a gold medal for Canada. My daughter Amy competed in the freestyle discipline throughout her teens. Amy's passion for the sport continued as she coached many young athletes at the Edmonton Ski Club while attending law school at the U of A. Amy today is an Edmonton lawyer and mother of two small young skiers. My daughter Jen Heil's skiing dreams started as a young girl, as a toddler at the Edmonton Ski Club, and Jen progressed through the Edmonton Ski Club freestyle program onward to the Alberta National and World Cup teams. Jen rose to the top of her sport as a 5-time overall World Cup champion, 2-time Olympic champion in freestyle moguls, winning gold and silver medals. Jen went on to form B210, a private funding model that's raised more than $35 million nationally. The private funds fund both winter and summer athletes who show podium promise. And they provide essential services that these young skiers are not able to acquire through their base funding. Jen is a young mother of skiers, 2 boys, and pursuing her MBA at Stanford University. This wonderful little club continues to recreate itself and provide amazing opportunities for our Edmonton youth and their families who are given the opportunity and the privilege to attend the club. We all know that it takes a community to raise a child, and each and every one that attends the Edmonton Ski Club is provided with an opportunity to pursue their dreams. Thank you for taking the time to consider this latest project that the Edmonton Ski Club is embarking on, and thank you for the opportunity to share some of the Edmonton Ski Club history and our family story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll turn to questions of the panelists, and I'll begin with Counselor Henderson.
Yeah, I think probably, Mr. Lusick, you're probably the best one to be able to answer this for me. In reality, all you need from us today is permission, with the environmental review and all of that, to go ahead and put these 2 structures in place, correct? You're not asking for money for them. You've got that under control.
That's correct. Yeah, we already have the money for them. It's already all set up. All we need is permission to have these units on site and be able to use them this winter.
Yeah. And it's a somewhat elegant solution to the problem we've had with the half of the building that is going to have to be knocked down at some point because it's not safe, correct? The old building.
Yes, that is correct. And it's a part of our plans with the Folk Music Festival to redevelop the lodge, and we're working currently on securing funding to be able to do that.
And you're actually looking at, perhaps, assuming these modular pieces work out, you can keep on a much simpler, rather than totally rebuilding everything. You can probably do it by continuing to add modules and actually to do what's been a long-standing wish of the club, which is to replace what is a close to derelict clubhouse. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And we have big plans for the clubhouse, but by doing it modularly, we can do that in a phased approach. So we don't need to do it all at once. We can do it as the funding becomes available and as the club is able to grow and expand that way.
Great. And then just really quickly, because I know, in the past we've had you in front of us asking for money, not just for permission. But the club has really turned a corner in the last couple of years and is very much back on the upswing. I know there were a lot of worries, particularly with the LRT going in there. There were a couple of years where you were not, a year and a half where you couldn't operate. But that's, this, I think, that's very much behind you is my understanding, and things are definitely on the way up and everything's stable again and growing, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we pulled our numbers up until the end of September from our fiscal year. Our fiscal year starts May 1st, and we're actually showing a surplus so far for this year. And that's despite COVID. So even with COVID going on, we are showing a surplus currently, and looking at trying to continue that so we can use that to redevelop the facilities coming into the next couple of years.
Great. Well, thanks. And I know we're over time, so I won't go on any longer, but it's nice to get a good news story. I know how much it's been a struggle to get here. So thanks for coming and bringing it to us today. And hopefully we'll be able to approve the permission for you to do these 2 modular buildings shortly. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Councillor.
Thank you. And thank you to all the speakers for coming and sharing the good news of what's happening at the Edmonton Ski Club and where you want to go. I see no more questions, so I'm going to move to the administration. I don't think we have questions of administration.
I'm prepared to move the recommendation, Madam Chair.
Okay, so the recommendation is before us, and that is really to address the environmental impact assessment and the temporary modular be deemed essential. Do we have any questions on the motion? It's quite straightforward. Any remarks in closing, Counselor Henderson?
I think this is fairly straight up for us, but we hadn't heard from the ski club for a while. And the last time it was not such a good news story. So knowing that they had come so far, I thought this was a good opportunity for them to bring us an update, and they've done that, and thank you very much to them. So,
thank you. So I'm going to call the vote on the motion. Please vote. And display the vote. And that's carried as unanimously. Thank you very much. With that, I neglected to call for inquiries, so I'm going to call for inquiries. I had no notices. Seeing none, are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Sorry, we kind of blundered through that.
No, it's all good. I always feel a little bit bad.
Why?
Getting on my mic.
Why? I never do. It's important. And I think we got through everything we needed to, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor.